Steer clear of this swampland. It is home to prehistoric reptiles. Published by MD Starbeast in May of 2022. The YouTuber is wondering what this creature is. Surrounded by lily pads, a snake-like head protrudes from the swampland. It's very still but seems to be rising up out of the water. Is it an eel of some kind? Some obscure reptile? A water dragon? What is your theory? This pirate treasure was planted for YouTuber the Pucka Pucka's 6-year-old daughter. She was wanting some pocket money, so she reluctantly sent to clean out the old unused window box. Little did she know she would find a treasure map amongst the old brass, the YouTuber writes. The map leads to a secret room sealed upon her conception 7 years ago. While cleaning out the old window box, the young girl finds a load of old doorknobs and a secret map. The map shows that their house has a secret room. The father takes her into the hallway, tells her to place the map on the ground in the same orientation as the home, and asks her why they must go to find the secret room. They wind up in the girl's room. She says it would be weird if there was a hidden door in her own room. She starts pounding on the wall and notes that it sounds hard, not hollow. The father joins in and says it sounds hollow in one part of the wall. They decide to cut the wall, as there might be treasure and lots of money, like $150,000 so they could go to Disneyland. As the girl suggests, they cut open the wall and do in fact find the secret room. At first, the girl assumes there's nothing in it, but at the far end of the room, a small silver treasure chest sits. Inside are necklaces, jewelry, and doubloons. What a great way to send your child on an adventure. A car sees a ghost on the side of the road and pulls over to record. They see nothing but darkness, so they slowly inch forward. Scared yet certain something paranormal lies ahead. Looks like they were right.
Hey, macha. Macha, deva macha. You know. Macha. Macha, deva macha. You know. Hey,
They've caught a ghost sighting in their headlights, but not for long as the figure disappears into the night. Suddenly, they are no longer curious about what they saw and only want to get out of there fast. The figure is much taller than the average person and towers over their car. Something tells me they aren't the first travelers to witness this roadside phantom, and they are also probably far from the last for that matter. Something unsettling is going on in this haunted house. Published by Mr. Horror in February of 2022, the scary video begins with this mysterious clacking noise. The room is empty and the floor looks like it's covered in dirt or sawdust, or as some in the comments suggest, flour. The clacking continues, followed by a large banging sound. Then footsteps appear as something invisible walks across the floor. Many in the comments note how big the prints are. Others are just glad there isn't a jump scare. To what or who do you think these prints belong? For now, I think it'll remain a mystery. What would you do if you discovered this demonic face peering into your baby's crib? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Shadow Panda. The Redditor writes that she was checking her 10-month-old son on the baby monitor when she saw something unexpected. She notes that the footage you're about to see is not edited. The baby monitor shows what looks to be a horrifying face mid-screen between two bars of the crib. Shadow Panda explains further in the comments section. It's outside of his crib, but when I went in there was nothing there. My husband even moved the tummy time mat, and the face or whatever was still there. After removing her son from the crib, she checked the monitor and the face was still visible. She shares a picture of it in the comments section, but after completing a thorough examination of the room and the crib, although she found nothing, the image vanished from the monitor. While several Redditors have theories, spanning from a bunched up blanket to the Goblin King, the Redditor admits she's completely baffled. One thing most can agree on, this monster looks bonkers. This footage was taken at the Chapelfield Mall in Norwich, UK. The mall is closed when a mysterious red balloon makes an appearance out of nowhere. As you watch this balloon float around on its own, keep in mind that the air conditioning was off, the escalator was off, and there is supposedly no wind blowing in from the outside. If all of this is true, then how exactly did the balloon move without any air currents? Even more bizarre is how the balloon stays low to the ground the entire time, almost at the height of a child. Could this balloon simply be half deflated, or is it being held by a youthful spirit? This video was submitted to the r/chills narrator subreddit by SailorGirl06. She writes, I'm a single mom. Last year my son and I were working on his Rube Goldberg machine. I was recording. Second time I aimed the camera toward the dining room. A face appeared on the microwave. It looks a lot like me and we get goosebumps every time we think about it. The face can be seen 2 seconds from the end on the turquoise microwave in the back. Can you see what she's talking about? I'll slow down the footage here for a second look. Can you see it? If so, then I think this place is haunted. This ghost doesn't want to be hunted. Published by Turkish channel HD Adam in November of 2021. The team is here to investigate the case of Jean Hoka. As they case the joint, they find dozens of nails strewn on the floor. Is there a meaning behind this? They're looking down another hallway and something hits at a curtain in the window. When the cameraman runs over to look out of it, you can see this window is on an upper floor and there's no one around.
Cam tıklatıyor şu anda.
Abi!
In another room, they find a glass, again with nails inside. The team wants to know what this means and asks viewers to share. Do you have any ideas? It might be the next step in solving this mystery. You don't know can't panic you, right? Posted to Reddit, the uploader, Jason Green 3 explains in the comments, on April 25th, 2013, at about 9:20 p.m. local time, an unknown object at low altitude flew directly across the Rafael Hernandez Airport runway in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, causing a delayed departure of a commercial aircraft. Green continues on, explaining that this infrared video on the thermal imaging systems of the CPB DHC-8 aircraft was captured by US authorities. This video is reportedly obtained legitimately by an anonymous source. According to their information, the object, between 3 to 5 feet wide, was flying around various speeds between 40 and 120 miles per hour with an 80 mile per hour median speed. When it entered the water, its speed did not slow down or demonstrate obvious impact, traveling at a similar average speed as it had in the air. Upon entering the ocean, the object spilt, re-emerged for an instant, and then both pieces traveled at the same speed. The Redditor writes that there's no known origin for this object, and no clue as to what might travel at these speeds through air and water. At least one Redditor suggests it's a weather balloon, while most others accept that this is an unidentified flying device. What do you think this could be? And are you Watch any episode of the reality TV series Most Haunted, and you're likely to see some paranormal events occur. After all, haunting is in the title, but one episode in particular seems to show the first ghost caught on camera in the 15-year history of the show, in which paranormal investigators pick over haunted sites. The episode in question was filmed at South Yorkshire's Wentworth Woodhouse. Built in 1725, the private country house was forgotten in the 20th century and is often called the greatest historic house that nobody has ever heard of. The ghost appears in the form of a man strolling through a dark corridor.
Come on, if you hit what's that? What's that? There. Carl, I can see it now.
Go for it. I'm not behind you.
Get your torch.
The show's host, Yvette Fielding, called it the most groundbreaking footage we have ever recorded. But rather than giving us the answer we were looking for, it just gave us more questions. Many claimed the footage was faked, while others said it supported the hypothesis that ghosts walk among us, but the cameraman, Carl Beatty, reaffirms that this was, in fact, real. We have never seen anything like this before. We really don't have an explanation for what we saw, he said, but the replay of the filming clearly shows the vision in detail. Spooky stuff. Caught on live TV, Rain and Jeno of Sinister RP returned to finish a paranormal grudge, one that began at the cemetery, a haunted apartment that they are left with. 3 days ago is when they went exploring here for the first time, the Boyd Cemetery, somewhere in Canada. That's when a ghost decided that if they wanted to explore its home, then it's only fair to explore theirs. Later that night, they are able to make spiritual contact by using a ghost hunting app. The creepy conversation does not go well.
Can you tell me your name? If there is anything following me, you are not allowed to anymore.
The voice of a ghost named Ernest is followed by the sarcastic voice of a little ghost girl who says too bad at the very notion of banishing them. Ernest too sounds sarcastic when he says goodbye.
I said goodbye.
Their replies occur in real time and make sense, so they could have been actual EVPs from the other side. Rain and Jeno are not the type to be intimidated in their own home, and so they bravely return to the cemetery 3 days later for a final showdown, but the ghost's voice is only mock her as she scorns and warns them.
Please do not follow us home. You are not allowed to follow us home. You are not allowed to attach yourselves to us or anything that we have here. We are going now. Goodbye.
The spirits don't sound very convinced, and as they back out of the Boyd Cemetery in silence, they think they catch a glimpse of a fiendish figure crouching behind a marker, perhaps old Ernest himself. That's not part of the architecture in my opinion. It only looks more supernatural and creepy when you zoom in. Perhaps coming back here has done more harm than good. Sinister RP believes they have caught a real ghost sighting caught on camera. Tell me if you agree with their paranormal evidence, or if you have an alternative explanation. Video was taken at a famous car race in France called the Citroën Rally. A police officer is keeping the peace when he makes the mistake of not looking both ways before crossing the road. His carelessness nearly gets him annihilated when one of the contestants comes rushing around the bend. The officer puts his arms out at the last second, but this would have done absolutely nothing to save him. That papery smacking sound you hear is the back of his vest actually making contact with the car. Amazingly, the police officer brushes off the event like it's no big deal, and the crowd barely has a reaction either. Maybe they've grown accustomed to close calls. Buckle your seatbelts. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit. This video is apparently forbidden in most countries, and it's clear why. The footage shows two lit up objects in the sky. They're both moving slightly, with one of them moving a bit faster than the other and in different directions. The lights blink as the unidentified flying device on the bottom moves up towards the one above it. Suddenly they fuse and it sends a shockwave through the sky like a bolt of lightning. What in the heck just happened here? The uploader stumbled across the freaky forbidden video in the summer of 2018. Some think it's most likely a clip from an indie movie. Redditor The Lovely Raven 313 points out, if this actually happened, the media would be on it. Many agree with this sentiment, while some are willing to suspend their disbelief when asked what it is. The Redditor admits he doesn't know. That's why I'm posting this, to try and solve the mystery, he writes. Can you solve the mystery? I'm at a loss here. Caden Parker meets up with some friends at a local skate park and finds someone much older trying to pick arguments with everyone he sees.
Big man! Who's big man? You, right? I'm going for a sleeper.
Dude, come on. Can you just leave us alone? We're just trying to have a good time, enjoying the nice weather.
Who cares? I'm going for a sleeper.
Soon he turns his attention towards Caden and tells him he's going to put him in a submission hold if he comes down from the ramp. By now the skate park has mostly cleared out, so it's just a face-off between Caden and this angry stranger.
Dude, the police are on their way. I hope you know that.
I hope so.
We have a problem.
I didn't insult
individual at the
Skate park.
skate park, and he's trying to pick fights with little kids.
All right then. Might as well make it worth it.
Yo, tell him to send an officer ASAP.
An officer shows up right before things get any more out of hand. I really don't think this is a fake video, because the officer walks up and puts him in cuffs straight away. Apparently, he has a long history of doing this and nobody seems to be acting. After he's taken away, the park fills back up with people who are scared away. Caden Parker shows a lot of bravery standing up for them, as well as self-restraint by not stepping forward when challenged. Had this escalated, he could be in as much trouble as the person who is actually in the wrong. He did everything right in my opinion, and is allowed to enjoy the rest of his day peacefully as a result. This video of urban exploration, published by Backyard Exploration in January 2015, is particularly eerie, because what's scarier than dark, damp tunnels and nowhere to turn? In the video description, Backyard Exploration writes, as the city grew, much of the underworld was sealed and forgotten. We infiltrate the sewers in search for this lost history. Unlike many entries on this list, these guys mean business. They are decked out with gear, headlamps, ropes, and safety equipment for sewer exploration, and they will need it. The underground is a dangerous place, and if you're claustrophobic, the tight spaces might give you screaming anxiety. Even worse, if you're squeamish, you might want to sit this one out, as there's loads of wading through raw sewage. The exploration shows the bricked underbelly of the sewage system, along with the sewer rats that scurry across the ground and up the walls. Water trickles down from above as the team continues to trapeze through the dark tunnels. The team crawls and climbs through narrow channels to make sure no stone is left unturned, and at one point, they even walk waist deep in sewage water, which is sometimes calm, sometimes rushing. In some areas, there are massive amounts of cockroaches skittering across the ceiling of the tunnel. All in all, it's pretty much every phobia imaginable in one. As After Dark said in the comments, this is the stuff that nightmares are made of, this tunnel. But fortunately, this nightmare does come to an end. As the video concludes, they exit the sewage tunnel to breathe fresher air and see daylight again. This footage is terrifying to any cyclist on the road. Published in April of 2022, Cycling Mikey writes, the footage was given to me by a subscriber who asked me to make the video available in case anyone knows this man and is willing to give his details. He had videoed the driver using his mobile phone, and the driver took exception to that. Captured at around 10:30 p.m. in July of 2021, the footage shows a cyclist riding as fast as he can from the car in question. He is calling out to any passers-by to call the police.
Help me! Call the police! Call the police! Help me! Help me!
The car is clearly chasing him. It even drives up on the sidewalk at one point as the cyclist tries to escape. The cyclist luckily eventually loses the driver, pulls into a driveway and drops his bike to the ground. Commenters call this outrageous and criminal behavior. Well, at least one commenter was able to capture the license plate number. Was it enough to find the culprit, or does he have dodgy plates? Sadly, I was never able to find out. This popular chain restaurant in a children's hospital is said to be haunted, and I need your help to tell if this is real or not. A small transparent girl runs by, but something is a little off about the video, and it looks like it might be photoshopped. If any video editing experts can tell me if this ghost sighting is fake or real, I could definitely use your help. If insects aren't your thing, then this entry will highly test your bravery. This footage is of an insect swarm at the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. The uploader writes, "During our family holiday in 1996 or 7, we had parked the car and gone for a short walk up the cliffs. When we came back, we found that our car had become a hotspot for these giant wood lice, sea slaters. The clip shows piles upon piles of wood lice crawling around the car tires, an absolutely terrifying sea of insects, all coalescing beneath the vehicle. As the uploader says, probably attracted to its cozy comfiness. After seeing this, would you be brave enough to climb back in and leave? I thought not." This woman found her toy doll in a disturbing state, so she contacted YouTuber Luan Mendes to help her.
Simbora? Tá ali já, mano. Próxima, tá bom? Bom, prazer, Luan. Pode entrar? Pode entrar. Oi? Tem alguém aí?
Tem meu marido e minha filha que tá dormindo.
Seu marido é o... Leandro.
Shared by YouTube channel blah blah, this video is trending in the Arabic-speaking YouTube community.
Mas tá estranho, mano. E olha isso aqui. Tá costurado, parece. Tudo a mão tá costurada atrás. Nossa. E tá com uma fralda de criança. Com uma fralda de criança. É. Você comprou desse jeito já? Como que é?
Não, a gente tava passando.
After these guys come to take a look, they find the cellar. They hear something banging on the lid.
É você, boneca? Ai! Nossa, pega, mano! Falando pra você, cara. Viu? Eu vou entrar. É a boneca, Luan.
So they climb in to investigate.
Cuidado. Dá a câmera pra mim aqui, Júlio. Ai, pô. Nossa, que tá boa. Irmão, a boneca tá aqui.
The doll of horror is inside, but after stepping away from the horror doll for a minute, this happens.
A boneca tá do mesmo jeito. Ai, ai! Cadê a boneca? Cadê a boneca, Pia? O que foi? Cadê a boneca? Cadê a boneca? Tava aqui agora! Ué, ela tava ali, irmão, ó. Ué!
It disappears. Where did the doll go? Was it possessed by something? Or did some slick soul do this to her? I have a theory. I think the doll was being used as a voodoo doll. That still doesn't explain where it disappeared to. But have no fear, the horror doll always returns.
Luan. Júlio, ela é! Ai! Ai! Ela! Ai, 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 ai!
Although you and I were probably not hoping for an encore for this one, paranormal explorer Thiago Ferracao returns to the Benzedeiras house in this scary video, published in May of 2022. Legend has it that Maria began by doing good, blessing people, but ended by taking her own life after she started doing dark magic rituals. Ever since, her house has been haunted, and Thiago is on a mission to spend the night there. As he enters, someone is standing in an adjacent room. Before he can step inside, the door slams in his face. Is it Maria?
Meu Deus! Ai!
Foi isso!
When Thiago pushes his way into the room, no one is there. Checking out the corner in which she was standing, they hear an animal in the room.
Cara, tem bicho ali, ó. Olha, uma aranha. Você tá vendo?
Then it seems like the animal goes after Thiago. Later, as they attempt to communicate with Maria via a spirit box, they hear this.
Que foi isso? Vai.
They continue throughout the house, trying to convince Maria that they are not there to hurt her, but she does not seem convinced.
Vem pra minha esposa. Thiago.
When the door finally stops banging, they open it. They leave the house wishing Maria peace, but does she wish peace upon them? Dan Sedrin is a paranormal investigator who calls this next video one of the scariest places he's ever explored. Just thinking back on the place makes his eyes go wide with fear.
We decided to hit Blue Ghost Tunnel. It's one of the most haunted places in all of Southern Ontario, and it definitely lived up to the hype.
He and his two friends Nicole and Jenna appear calm and relaxed when he first starts exploring the Blue Ghost Tunnel in Ontario, Canada.
It was tough to get here. Had to go through the woods, but we're gonna keep exploring.
But halfway through exploring the tunnel, he claims to see some kind of paranormal activity.
No, look at the blue mist.
Nicole and Jenna are reluctant to go any further as some kind of mist wraps around Dan and moves ahead of him.
It's getting really foggy over here. Yeah. I just want to touch the beam.
And now we're done.
Okay, hold up.
He bravely takes a few steps forward and, knowing his friends are already scared, challenges them to turn off their flashlights for 10 seconds.
Turn off your lights. Just turn off your lights. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Okay.
Scary voices seem to be whispering a message at them from the darkness, and they get out of the tunnel fast. It's scary enough to make one of them nearly lose their mind.
What did you guys hear? Cause
it was like a person, like an old person, like a growl, like not a growl, but like look at my hand.
Oh, you're shaking.
Yeah.
You're really shaking.
Let's go.
Okay, all right, let's go.
That kind of fear is impossible to fake, so while this may or may not be a real ghost, we can at least agree that they were genuinely afraid. Just when you think you've got your fear handled, it starts to eat you alive. This is an Instagram post gone wrong. This woman has a voice like a nightingale and is recording herself to showcase her talent. But your focus is shifted by the strange supernatural mirror that magically appears in the background, with the camera facing selfie style toward the girl. At the beginning of the clip, you can see the space on the wall behind her is empty. She shifts, and suddenly there's a small mirror posted there. As she continues to sing, oblivious in the mirror, strange reflections emerge and disappear sporadically, being as it looks like she's in the classroom alone. These figures appearing out of nowhere are more than frightening. And when she finally realizes something's off, she springs from her seat screaming. She flees the classroom. Where did this mirror come from? Who or what was being reflected in it? And more importantly, what did they want? Webdriver Torso is one of the few YouTube channels that continues to stay creepy even after being supposedly debunked. A number of years ago, this channel was discovered uploading videos that were all rectangles and frequencies. The videos are somewhat mesmerizing to watch, and many people claim they will lure you into a strange state of mind over time. Google has since come forth with an official explanation. that this channel is used only to test video quality, but this is a really vague explanation and plenty of people are convinced that this is a cover-up story for something more sinister. Meanwhile, the videos have only gotten longer and are now up to 25 minutes and 1 second in length. Also, one day in 2013, Webdriver Torso uploaded this strange video seemingly for no reason at all, further adding to the mystery. As to exactly what this means, your guess is as good as mine. This channel could be anything from a video quality testing site like Google says, to a mind control experiment or even an AI program gone rogue. Also, if you can explain this channel's rather cryptic name to me, I'd definitely like to hear your best guess, though I really doubt anyone can. Some people are afraid of nuns to some extent, so imagine how a nun spirit might terrify someone like that. The Ouija brothers entered the UK's most haunted nunnery in this scary video. Early in their investigation, they hear this spooky sound.
I'm just walking, I'm just having a look if there's anyone there. There's a humming.
The humming happens again shortly after.
Hold on, the humming just happened again.
Later, they hear something rustling very near them.
It sounded like someone, you see there's like debris there on the floor. I don't know if it was like debris falling on the floor, but it was like movement. I don't know if something like that.
Was that just some of the debris from the wall falling off? Or is someone invisible standing in this corner? Considering how spooky this place feels, I personally think a ghost nun is there. Say your prayers. This video comes from a YouTuber named Kusun2. He's a college student with an original Xbox that has a very strange and unexplainable problem. Every time he is hanging out by himself, his console likes to turn itself on. This happens so often that Kusun2 decides to record it for evidence. The only problem is that this Xbox appears to be camera shy. He'll stare and stare at it and it won't do a thing. It only seems to turn on when he is doing something else, almost as if it's trying to distract him. Even now as he films his Xbox and explains his story, it refuses to turn on by itself and makes him look like a fool. After talking for about 5 minutes, Kusun2 finally decides to test his theory and leaves the room. The Xbox does nothing for a long time, but then keep in mind that there's no way to turn on an original Xbox remotely, and he always keeps his controller neatly wrapped up on the top of the system, so he can't be using a controller that's out of sight. On top of that, things have been regularly disappearing and reappearing on their own, and now Kusun2 is extremely creeped out about being alone. This young YouTuber had just begun her channel when something horrific put a stop to it. Shared by YouTube channel EXTV, this scary video is currently trending. In the Brazilian YouTube community, the YouTuber had experienced paranormal happenings in her home before, including sounds on the rooftop, mysterious lights, and moans in the house, but she had yet to capture anything on camera until now. As she introduces herself and her channel, something else introduces itself behind her.
Hola chicos, mi nombre es Mikey, vengo banda y bienvenidos a un nuevo video. El día de hoy me acompañarán a hacer un
Mike, ¿qué es eso que está atrás? Charon.
After the camera goes dark, the monster escapes to the rooftop.
¡Papá! ¡Oh, mira! ¡Dios mío, qué es eso! ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué pasó?
But it doesn't stop there.
¡La luz! ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? ¡Dios mío, qué es!
What is this demon? It It looks like something nightmares are made of, and maybe it is, but just like your nightmares, it isn't real. After digging further, I found the video's original source is Nicaraguan CGI channel JJPD Producciones. Although this may just be CGI, I don't know how this channel mined and illustrated something straight from my nightmares. A YouTuber named R. Travis is exploring a haunted restaurant that used to serve Chinese food. The inside is extremely old, and the walls have rotted down to bare support beams. He feels watched and grows increasingly anxious, and begins to talk loud and fast to himself in an effort to keep calm. Sometime during his nervous ranting, he makes a comment out loud about a spirit he sees standing at the top of the stairs.
I don't give two flat, there's a set of stairs here, let's roll. They might not be stable. I just seen a figure up there, but I'm not answering, I'm chasing him.
Nothing really stands on camera. Could this purple triangular shape be whatever it was he was talking about? At first, he says he's going to leave it alone, but up the steps he finds nothing but an old musty attic with a worn out floor, but there's more than that up here.
I just seen another figure then. 3 black spirits have seen them pass me now.
Aside from this white light that passes by at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, I do see some shadow figures. And a final shadow figure with white eyes can be seen here at 3 minutes and 22 seconds. They're all about the same height, scattered around different parts of the room, and with all of them still watching, R. Travis abruptly ends the video. A man believes the stairwell in his apartment is haunted by a creature that's not paranormal, but not human. He thinks he sees movement, and says this is a still image. The image has gone viral, so I wanted to analyze the video. The video does not look nearly as convincing as the image, which is often the case because it is harder to animate than Photoshop. The figure shows a convincing lack of realistic movement as it dips back into the darkened doorway from where it came. So if you've ever seen this popular picture and were wondering what the accompanying video looked like, now you know. A video of a human torso walking upright is probably one of the scariest home CCTV moments I've ever seen caught on tape. The main reason it looks so terrifying is because this is mostly a marionette puppet instead of CGI, which requires more work but looks more realistic. Somebody is most likely pulling its strings from above to make it walk, or at least I hope so. Humans are not the only ones spying ghosts in our midst. Animals are well known to be sensitive to various stimuli, often accurately predicting earthquakes before they happen, and acting extremely anxious and skittish beforehand. These sensitivities also appear to include sensing paranormal entities. There are countless stories out there of pet owners describing their pets reacting towards unseen figures or becoming distressed prior to a paranormal event occurring. Happy Fox Productions is a channel making short films from comedy to action to drama. Things took a different turn on September 1st, 2020 when the channel uploaded a more meta video. Founder Justin Melson explains he was on vacation with his mother in December of 2019 when his home security picked up something strange. When he got home, he and his mom noticed the cats were acting different. Concerned, they checked the footage from the cameras and found something that shocked and puzzled them. As the video starts, one of the cats is visible on the bed, standing upright and looking around. She then reacts to something near the exit of the room, and right then an unexplained shadow is cast against the door. The shadow has physical features resembling a person, including arms and legs, and appears to be walking past the door and into the bedroom. As it fades from view, the second cat makes its appearance, seemingly following whatever was walking into the room. Both cats acting confused. As the second cat fully enters the room, a TV table in front of the camera rocks, as if something brushed past it. At the same moment, a dark mist briefly appears over the chair behind it before vanishing, and then the door starts closing on its own. The clip ends when the camera suddenly pans to the right and Melson says it stayed there the remainder of their time away. In the video's description, he explains there wasn't anything out of place besides a few books knocked over, which could easily be dismissed as the cat's doing. But what doesn't make sense to him is he found clumps of cat hair around, a sign his cats were fighting. He found this odd as they had never fought before, and he has no explanation for why. From the sounds of his writing, it would appear he and his mom hadn't experienced anything out of the ordinary before, so why now? Well, people will certainly say this was simply a hoax as the owners have filmmaking experience. It doesn't explain the reaction of the cats. Herding cats means an impossible task for a reason, as cats can be difficult to train, despite being good pets. The confusion in the cat's expressions and their behavior after does sound some alarm bells. It is unknown if anything happened after, but we are hoping there will be a follow-up soon. This radio DJ is live on air when all of the lights go out. Some of his equipment is still on though, so this is not a normal blackout. He is all alone and doesn't know what to do, so he calls someone for help, probably a management at home or technical support. That's when a cloaked figure passes by the window and makes him put down the phone. He creeps to the window and looks down the hall. Whoever it was is already gone. The next call he makes, I'm sure, is to the cops. According to him, this radio station has very high-tech security that requires thumbprints authorization to get in. Nobody should have been walking around after hours, especially not somebody dressed in ancient robes with their head down. A group of musician friends are jamming out in the woods in Oregon when a tiny creature suddenly attacks one of them in broad daylight.
It's a bat!
Holy
The bat hits Derek on his shoulder with a dull thud and all of the instruments stop. Everyone watches in disbelief as the tiny creature climbs up his body, and Derek can even feel its cold snout as it plants its tiny sharp teeth into his neck, just inches away from the jugular vein.
And then it just bit me.
It latched onto his shoulder, then crawled up his neck.
He throws the bat off and watches it fly into a tree, where it continues silently watching them from afar. They are freaked out at this point, but they think that it was just a freak occurrence and decide to play some more music. After the bat makes 2 more swipes at the man, however, his friend has had enough and shoots it with a BB gun. The group takes the bat corpse back to the local health department and has it tested. Sure enough, Derek had been bitten by a rabid bat. He had to get rabies shots for days afterwards. Ignorance is bliss, and sometimes it's best that certain things remain invisible to the human eye. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Miss Doolittle Tex. This video was taken at the haunted Queen Anne Hotel in San Francisco. Originally posted on YouTube in March of 2020, Tex writes, I have been listening to creepy stories and been watching YouTube videos about ghost investigations and experiences since they existed, which resulted in me paying more attention to my surroundings, heightening my awareness. The Queen Anne Hotel has some history. Located on Sutter Street in San Francisco, initially built as a girls' boarding school, the Queen Anne Hotel is said to be haunted by the former headmistress, Mary Lake. Her office at room 410 is believed to be the most haunted room in the building. The uploader of the video booked this room to stay in overnight. In preparation for the stay, she bought a FLIR thermal cam for her iPhone. She duly notes that the hotel is charming as heck, and she didn't feel anything particularly unsettling while there. That is, until she thermal cammed room 410. She tested out her thermal cam on her husband, on electrical sockets, water lines, and other hot and cold spots. Then she entered the bathroom. Pointing her thermal cam towards the half-closed shower curtain, she started to see a figure in the thermal footage next to her that she believed appeared from behind the curtain. As you can see, there is her own thermal image in its reflection, and not too far away right beside it, another full-sized figure. Could it be headmistress Mary Lake herself? When going through pictures she took of the room, the uploader also discovered this creepy face in the wallpaper. Do you see it? It's almost like the room is watching you. 9 out of 10 people do not immediately notice what's wrong with this handshake, so allow me to show you where to look. Trust me, you'll be sorry that I did.
Give me your hand.
I like cake, I just don't like the icing on it.
That's my main.
This is someone's right hand, and yet they're on the left side. Also, look at their fingernails. They're facing the wrong way. How can this be? The answer isn't pretty. The condition is called hypermobility. Though the phrase double jointed is commonly used, it's mostly genetic, meaning you are either born with this unusually large range of movement or not. Only 20% of people have it, though typically not to this degree, and there's no way for the rest of us to gain this talent, if you want to call it that, so don't even try to practice. Like most people, watching this video makes me feel like my fingers are going to fall off. Tell me if you would be able to shake the hand of someone with hypermobility while they were doing this. I mean, it's creepy, but also kind of cool. When a shadow passes through your security footage, you know you're not alone. Posted by Lily Monique to the Chills Narrator subreddit. Lily shares that her uncle David and her father work for mall security. She writes, "This is what my dad and uncle caught on mall security cameras where they work in the middle of the night in the parking lot. The video shows David standing in the middle of the empty lot. He remains there in the light and no one at all is around. But then a shadow passes close to the camera, completely blocking him from view for a moment. It almost looks as if a figure glided directly in front of the security camera. If I were David, I'd be looking over my shoulder in that parking garage." A paranormal team led by Derek Reese sits around the old family room of a haunted house in an undisclosed location. One of them must be sensitive to spirits because he asks them if they feel anything, and maybe he accidentally channels something into the room.
Oh my god, don't mess with me. No, I'm not.
You can see everyone except for one person when the knock happens, but her hands are in her lap under a pillow, so no, it's not her. Later on, they are looking at old videos when two visual artifacts appear. One is pink and one is green, and neither of them will go away no matter what they try. And that's when they hear creepy singing and a deep voice say something like, "Get away from the door." The audio is pretty low quality, but what do you hear? YouTuber Kits published this clip of a man screaming at a McDonald's drive-thru in September of 2017. Kits noted this was typical Miami and wrote that the man was shouting at the top of his lungs.
Help me, please!
This man is off it.
Even though it was only 4 a.m., absolutely no reason for this man to be screaming and throwing himself around so early in the morning, he wrote. The uploader said that before he started filming, the man in front of him was going crazy in the backseat of his car, kicking the roof of the car over and over, making it shake violently for around a minute prior to the recording. You can see the car shaking slightly in the video before the man gets out of the back seat and starts shouting into the night. The uploader claims it was substances that are causing him to act like this, and I agree with that theory. There just doesn't seem to be any other explanation. Julie, Kelly, Emily, and Liz are the Ghost Moms, a paranormal investigation team from Kansas who are mothers by day and ghost hunters by night. The team has a unique ghost hunting style that I've never seen before. Aside from bringing a variety of equipment, they also use positivity and a motherly appeal that makes the paranormal feel comfortable enough to communicate with them. Tonight they're extra scared though, because the Ghost Moms are exploring an abandoned haunted prison at the Missouri State Penitentiary, a place where their motherly charm is not particularly useful. As they peer down a long dark hallway, scary ghost noises beckon them from within.
It's really scary not being able to see anything but through the camera.
Here it is again with the sound up, the supposed creepy voice caught on tape. It could be a ghost EVP, or it could be something else like a bat flying away. It's hard to say which. They set up motion detecting paranormal equipment in the area where they heard the noise and apparently are able to convince a ghost to come out of its cell.
Can you touch that ball? Touch the light if you live here. Oh, thank you. Okay, let go.
Oh my gosh.
A scary loud noise from another cell demands their attention, and so they place a music box on the floor to see if anything is there.
Why is it speeding up? It's speeding up. It's not stopping. It is really strange. It's really weird.
They are scared because somebody has to be turning the handle to make the music play faster. And as you can see, none of the ghost hunters are near the object. It goes faster by itself.
Why is it doing that? Oh, the REM pod's going off, Julie. REM pod just went off.
Their equipment detects a ghost in the hallway when none of them are anywhere nearby, so that's bizarre to say the least, if not paranormal. Maybe it was a rat running by, but I think we all know it was probably a spirit. After the ghost moms split up to go exploring each haunted prison cell for more paranormal evidence, one of them hears what they think is a scary whispering voice, followed by a fit of laughter. Was it an EVP, or was it one of her fellow ghost hunters? A YouTuber named Run Gun Griff is a drone enthusiast who explores a lot of exotic locations on his channel. Most of his videos are taken on tropical islands, but this one was shot at a hard-to-find rural spot that he simply describes as being in the middle of nowhere. As this drone flies high, you can see that Run Gun Griff and his friend are standing in the middle of a huge field of crops that's covered in a series of strange markings. The symbols themselves are perfectly symmetrical and extremely precise in their geometry. Their designs look strikingly identical and appear to have no noticeable differences, a sign that it was not made by humans. I suppose that it would be possible to do this with farm equipment, but farmers have little reason to vandalize their own field, and since there's absolutely no flaws in the design, I think that there is a strong possibility that this was made by something extraterrestrial. Let me know if you think that these crop circles are man-made or extraterrestrial in nature, and if you recognize any of these symbols from any literature, movie, or video games, then I'd definitely like to know where they are from. Here's why you should never look down during a hailstorm.
I felt the shockwave from that.
A bolt of lightning cracks across the brick wallway in front of him. I felt the shockwaves, he says as he runs inside, but in truth, he's lucky he didn't feel something a lot worse. The moral of this scary video, if there is one, is to never go outside during this kind of weather. No exceptions. Not even the doorstep is safe. We've all been warned never to pick up hitchhikers, but that advice especially goes for paranormal ones. This dash cam footage was posted in July of 2019. The dash cam's clock shows that the clip was taken around 2 in the morning. If you blink, you'll miss it, so pay careful attention. Driving down a dark and empty highway, the car is traveling at a fairly fast speed when, off to its right, in the empty lane, appears a figure. Some say it has its thumb out for a ride. Do you see it? Is it a ghost? Or is it just a regular person with a bad wish? After all, who hails a ride in the middle of the road during the darkness of night? Only someone who's looking to get run over, or at least doesn't mind testing fate, whether ghost or real boy. This isn't something you want to see while driving down a dark road at 2 a.m. It might very well send you into a terrified tailspin, making you the next ghost on the highway. A TikToker named Jordan Dreyer rides down a rainy road when he and his friend see a lone woman crossing the road. Upon seeing them, she stops and turns their way.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
Her white robes fluttering in the wind, and considers them as they pass. Her face is gray and ashen, as pale as her clothing, which I guess could be makeup, I guess if this video isn't real. But as they pass, when the video plays frame by frame, one of her eyes seems to glow unnaturally. possibly marking the exact moment when a curse passes between them and possibly onto anyone who watches this video, including you. I will say that this could be scripted. There are no other cars on the road, but they are traveling at a slow speed, almost as if they knew she was there. But like I said, the weather wasn't good that night, so maybe he's being a safe driver. Another possibility is that something bad had just happened to a real person and she needed their help, in which case whatever she was trying to get away from could have very well caught up with her again after they drove away. When you hear footsteps approaching your room, you'd better lock the door. Posted by Eli Walt KG to the Ghosts subreddit. This clip captures something invisible entering the Redditor's room. Turn up the volume and you can indeed hear footsteps as Eli films the door of his bedroom. Then quietly the door creeps open. While most can agree this would make a normal person freeze, some commend the Redditor's bravery, while others, like Redditor B565656 warn him, have you learned nothing from horror movies? You don't walk towards the sound in the dark. Totally, who knows what's lurking in the darkness beyond that door? Even though this snake wasn't on a plane, Samuel L. Jackson would probably not appreciate its presence on this train platform. Tweeted by Triple G RTO, he writes, being a train operator for NYCT Subway, I thought I have seen it all, but this can't be real. Oh, it's real alright. This feet-long snake, which has been identified as a non-venomous black eastern rat snake, was spotted on a subway platform in New York City on August 10th, 2020. The species can grow up to 7 feet and is native to the East Coast region, from Connecticut down to South Carolina and west to Kansas. It feeds on rodents, which may be why it's lurking in a New York subway station. As the enormous snake weaves slowly across the platform, a commuter stands not far off, waiting for her train's arrival. The MTA addressed the situation in a tweet writing, "This is a new one for us. They were investigating the matter and aren't aware how it got there, although the reptile doesn't appear to have an owner, so may have just been out for a midday stroll or slither. Still, I'm sure many New Yorkers wouldn't want to share the L train with this scaly passenger." Jonathan FOD and his friends go exploring an abandoned meat processing facility building that everyone in town says is haunted, but the air quotes around ghost seems to mean he doesn't quite believe it.
So supposedly, there's a ghost that roams around here.
Soon he will.
Oh shit. Hey!
Who's here?
As Jonathan FOD and his two friends are ghost hunting in some kind of tool shed, they get what they think could be some paranormal evidence caught on tape.
What the? Bro, you heard that, bro? What the fuck is that? Bro. Is anybody there?
All three of them are on camera when these noises happen. You can see they are just standing there with their hands down, so it can't be them. Maybe Jonathan had a fourth person making all of that noise, but I don't see how they could have faked that ghost EVP at 8 minutes and 50 seconds. It really does sound like the muffled voice of a small child.
What the? Bro, you heard that, bro? What the fuck is that?
When walking alone in the wilderness, you generally don't want to run into anyone at all, let alone someone perched in a place you'd least expect them. That's exactly what happened to this individual, whose footage was posted to YouTube in August of 2014. The person appears to be walking in a rather remote forested area. Ahead stands a blocked stone tunnel, and sitting atop the concrete is someone dressed in a white shirt facing the tunnel's interior. What are they doing there, and why? Reaching this depth of the forest or that tunnel itself are quite difficult tasks The cameraman doesn't wait to find out, and probably rightly so. He backs away slowly before turning around and moving quickly out of there. Some locals in the comments insist to never approach that area, saying this is really serious, never go. I gotta agree, better safe than sorry. A supposed mermaid was captured sunning itself on the rocks beside this murky lake. Posted to TikTok. You may want to avoid the water after seeing this clip. Did you notice that there are two of them? You can see the other one's head peek up. Well, some in the comments say this is a real mermaid, and mermaids in fact look scary like this. I'm not so sure about this video's authenticity. I did some digging online, and it turns out the video's original source is YouTube channel, JJPD Producciones, which specializes in CGI. Whether you choose to believe this is real or fake, it is definitely an impressive reimagination. Flickering lights are one thing, but a switch visibly turning off of its own accord, that's a whole other story. Posted to the paranormal subreddit by Nutzak, the redditor writes about this unexplained encounter that his brother caught on camera. According to Nutzak, his brother was home alone, likely checking on his family's dog Oscar, when suddenly the hallway lights started doing their own thing. He recorded the incident as it continued, and this is what he captured. Nutzak states that he lived in the house for 2 years and has always felt strange vibes, but never seen anything firsthand. He writes, "Now after watching the video countless times, I am stumped and believe there is something beyond our knowledge happening here. 2 switches control this hallway light. Both you can see in the video. One is right next to the guy and the other is at the end of the hallway on the left. According to Nutzak, you can see the light switch nearby turn about halfway down, which, as the redditor writes, would be impossible to recreate. Next, it flicks off entirely, turning the hallway light off. This one you can see as clear as day. Some are all in with the paranormal theory, but there's always a skeptic among us. And this time it's Slick Air who states, a combination of loose wiring and a faulty switch can cause this. Others in the thread suggest not even faulty switches can flip off of their own accord. What do you choose to believe? A scary ghost video from other studios has people wondering what's even real anymore. Normally, I'm hesitant about any channel that has studio or production in the name for obvious reasons, but as one person commented, this video looks compelling. This channel says they have a studio in the name because they produce beats, not ghost videos. Okay, valid reason. Let's look. So his friend Cody has been experiencing some weird activity that he thinks could be paranormal. Creepy stuff like the sink running and flickering lights with no one touching the switch. Cody soon got into the habit of recording video whenever he was in the house, just so he could have some evidence to show his friends to prove he's not a liar. This short clip is one of his most terrifying for sure.
Nope.
He comes back to a trashed kitchen after stepping out to talk to his girlfriend on the phone for 15 minutes. Everyone can see the open cabinets and tilted chair, but only Cody noticed the figure peering at him from the very top of a tall doorway at an impossible angle. He says the resolution is higher on the original video, and this is what the still image looks like without the compression from uploading on YouTube. The difference between the two is so major that I'm almost positive this has to be a Photoshop. But if it's real, he should never walk into that room again, or the whole house for that matter.
I'm being followed.
Have you ever got the feeling that you were being followed? What if it were true? A YouTuber published this video of his experience being stalked in Japan in February of 2011. In the video, he explains that when he turned on his camera, this female stalker became interested in what he was up to, so she started following him. despite his rather roundabout route, which he was using to try and lose her. You can see the woman over his shoulder, dressed all in black in a long coat with very pale skin. To make matters scarier, it's raining. The gloominess results in heightened fear. So what is this woman doing? Why is she following some random stranger in the street? Some even speculated that this man was in serious danger. Whoever she is, I'd get out of there, and fast. Scary Russian dashcam video footage shows a man running away from an angry and aggressive bear. He uses his bike as a shield, but it doesn't seem to do him much good because the bear is on the verge of overpowering him when it suddenly retreats into the woods. There's no sound to this, but I'm guessing the only thing that scared this brown bear away was the car rolling up and laying on the horn. The biker was probably going to lose his life. So what could he have done better? One official working for the US National Park Service says that you should stay calm and not panic if possible. Apparently the biker should also not be backing away because that only encourages the bear to keep moving forward. Any threatening gesture like getting loud could make it angrier. There's another person down the road who is probably shouting and further agitating the bear. One New Jersey Fish and Wildlife official says that she and the other man could stand next to each other with their arms raised over their heads. Apparently, two of them together in this position might make the bear think twice about taking them on. So while that's all well and good, I'm pretty sure that if a bear came charging at me, I am still screaming my head off. Some things are just too scary. A man claims that he keeps experiencing paranormal activity in his dining room and nowhere else. He feels unsafe and decides to leave a camera running in the dining room to see what goes on when he's not around. Nothing happens for a while, but then something comes along in the window that looks questionable. This is the zoomed in version. A tiny face appears to peek out at them from the glass panel on the bottom right before darting out of sight. You can't really make out any of its features, but notice how some orbs float by shortly before this happens. It's hard to tell if it's a paranormal creature or just a small animal, but I wouldn't want to be left alone in the house to find out. What happens when the truth can't be found and footage cannot be simply explained? Published by Luke Jones in November of 2013. This video may just reveal a real-life Savannah vampire. Jones writes, was reviewing the CCTV and couldn't believe my eyes, had to put it on YouTube. The video clip shows a few customers in a flip-flop shop in Savannah, Georgia. On one wall, a mirror is mounted for customers to check out their style and flops. You can see a female customer reflected in the mirror as she sits on a nearby bench texting, and you can see a male customer perusing flip-flops beside her. One man passes by the mirror and is accurately reflected. A short while later, another man dressed in all black passes by the mirror as well, only this time, no reflection.
Wait, I know. What? I know. Like, how is that? I don't know.
The male and female customers are still reflected properly in the mirror, but the men dressed in black, nada. What is this wizardry? It could be unexplainable, and we may never know. Next time you're confronted by voices in a haunted house, you should probably just skip town. Redditor Alex_paranormal TV posted the scary paranormal investigation to the Chills Narrator subreddit. It was originally posted on YouTube in February of 2020. The house being explored is a Coal Harbour house in London. As Alex Paranormal explains, we investigate the Cold Harbour house that no one wants to live in because of the extreme activity and what resides inside the Shadow Man.
What, it's been a there, isn't it?
Yeah.
What, it's been a fire there, isn't it?
Yeah.
The exploration turns up loads of paranormal activity. At 8:53 in the video, Alex mumbles something as they're exploring, to which a disembodied voice answers, yeah. A little later, after setting up the spirit box, it either moves or falls over on its own at 16 minutes 7 seconds.
Well, it's going free stuff, mate. Did you smoke that?
What? Oh, mate.
I'm not done with that.
Who are you?
A short time after, at 16 minutes 55 seconds, an evil laugh occurs as the team attempts to speak with the spirits.
Is this your room? Where are you?
The laughter occurs again at around 22 minutes 9 seconds. And at 22 minutes 49 seconds, a grunt can be heard.
You just grunt then? What was that? Was that you?
As they're talking about the grunt, a very audible knock sounds on the adjacent door at 23 minutes 35 seconds. They continue to explore the haunted house. While they're in a hallway, about to enter another room, a door slams at 26 minutes 55 seconds.
Was that you?
No. Continuing in their exploration after a while, they discover an old Tonka truck in a room. When one guy asks if that's an old Tonka toy, a disembodied voice at 31 minutes 52 seconds answers yeah.
Look at that. That's an old Tonka toy, isn't it?
What is?
A number of other disembodied voices are noted throughout the video, as if the house was whispering a secret to them, if only they'd just listen. What was it trying to tell them, and what would you do in a house that talks to you? I'd just move. Sometimes while ghost hunting, it's not the ghosts you have to worry about. Published by Proving Demons, this scary encounter with a live human occurred while investigating this abandoned home. Early on, they sensed something inside of the house. After deciding there's no one there, they continue their investigation and end up recording this rather harsh whisper.
Yeah.
That's that harsh whisper.
Someone doesn't want them there. And soon after blowing a special type of whistle, it's clear exactly who that is. The ghost hunters abandon everything inside and race off. Would you be able to get your stuff or write it off as a loss?
Andrew! Quick, Andrew, I've got a flashlight,
A father and son ghost hunting team are at an old graveyard somewhere in the south. They stumble upon a child's tombstone and get to work. The son attempts to communicate with the passed on child by planting an old pinwheel in the ground.
If there's a child out here that wants to play with this toy, feel free to make it move.
The father says that there is absolutely no wind on this night, so the pinwheel should not be able to move. To prove there is no wind, he records a tall blade of grass next to the tombstone and clearly shows that it's not moving. This child's gravestone is from the late 1800s. Pinwheels were probably very popular during this time, so it makes sense that the spirit would be excited and ready to play. A disturbing shadow is settling over this room. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, Kenton Bryant Music writes, "My buddy had his motion sensor go off for this. It never goes off unless his dog walks in front of the camera. The only problem? The dog was locked in the bedroom at the time." This was captured on his friend's Wise security camera in February of 2020. The video shows a darkened room with a light source at one end. A dark shadow sweeps into view, covering the light source briefly before disappearing from sight. The strangest part about this is that the shadow seems not to touch the ground. Is it flying? Redditor Gucci the God says that it could be lights from a passing car, coupled with a low light capture of the camera. But the OP nixes this idea, saying there's no window there and the driveway is private. Some in the comments think this is legit paranormal footage. This really looks like a shadow figure to me. What do you think? Any other explanations? Thank you so much for getting me to 40,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Can you help me reach 50,000 subscribers? Thank you.